Hi guys, we're back. So we are working in this Strathmore sketchbook again, and we're just kind of doing a little flip through of what we've done the past few days. And today we're going to work on the color family building series again, and we are going to look at the pinks, oranges and yellows that I have in my palette. Okay, so the first thing we're going to sketch is the Potter's Pink by Winsor & Newton. So I was recommended this colour by Liz Steele. She often recommends this colour if you follow her on Instagram, and she said it's the best one to re-wet, and I looked at the tones of them and I really did like this one, so I'm really happy with it. And next we are swatching Opera Rose by Daniel Smith. So I believe this is a Daniel Smith colour. I've swatched the Schmink one and the Daniel Smith, and I feel like there's not much difference. So, you know, whichever one is easier for you to get, I think they're pretty similar. The next one here we're swatching is Holbein Brilliant Pink, and then we've got Holbein. So these were two of the first watercolors that I got probably 5 or 6 years ago. My sister and I used to go into an art store we had near here, A.I. Friedman's, and they had these Holbein watercolors, and I would walk past them every time and I was too scared to buy them. But finally I got 4 little tubes and I've never looked back. So the next thing we have is Daniel Smith Organic Vermilion and Daniel Smith Pyrrole Orange. So I really love both of these colours because when you water them down, they become gorgeous peach tones, and you can mix them with, well, I like to mix them with lemon yellow, or you can mix them with like a white or a pearl white and you get gorgeous tones. So actually this one here is Holbein Jaune Brilliant number 2. So the one up the top there is, on the far right is Holbein Shell Pink. So that is one of my absolute favourites. And then I'm swatching now Nickel Azo by Daniel Smith. So, and then we'll swatch Lemon Yellow by Schminker. That's my favourite lemon yellow. It's the coolest one I've found, and it's just a really pretty colour. It mixes beautifully with my browns, and I just really love it. So when I'm building a palette, I generally like to have a darker version, a mid-tone, and a lighter version of the colour, like you can see there with the pink starting at like the Opera Rose. Then I have the 3 there, and then the 3 oranges from the Organic Vermilion down to the Jaune Brilliant, and then I have the 2 yellows, the Nickel Azo and the Lemon Yellow, and I had the Indian Yellow in between there, but I find that I don't use the Nickel Azo or the Indian Yellow that often, because if I want a mustard, I generally mix the Lemon Yellow with the French ochre, and I find that, or like if I want to mix it with a pink, I find that the other two sort of muddy up that mixture, so I want like a more bright colour. So we were actually just having a little chat in the comments that the last few videos talking about Lightfastness and talking about yellows and what's available and whatnot. So I am not sure. I'd actually like to get the Daniel Smith dot cards again now that I kind of know more what I want to mix and everything, and try those out again, maybe with you on the channel, and see if there's anything else available, maybe something a bit more light fast. But yeah, so I'd love to hear as well what you guys think about Lightfastness. I'll talk about that a little bit more in another video, or another time, but let's just look at this, what I'm doing here. So I've just put down what I'm trying to show you in these videos is how I like to build color. So I love to paint roses, and I'll show you a few different versions of roses that I've tried. And I say tried because Roses are one of the hardest things I've found to paint, so I'll show you my fails, I'll show you some that I don't mind. This one, so we've also discussed in the comments overworking paintings and how, you know, how not to overwork them. And this is a great example of overworking a painting, so I just take it too far. But I basically mixed... well, let's just go back to the rose in a minute. So what I'm doing now is a daffodil with the yellow, and it's a sort of a squiggly, thin oval. And then I'm putting just 2 curves on to create like the trumpet. And so I've mixed lemon yellow with French ochre, and then I'm adding in some more French ochre there too for the shadows. It's actually a pretty simple shape, this way that I'm doing it, but it's actually taken me quite a while to figure out how to do it this simply. So yeah, that's a pretty basic way, and then you can keep building that, you can keep layering it. But for this video I was pretty happy with that, and so now we're starting on this petal, and basically we're sort of doing a bit of a triangle or a diamond sort of a shape there. And then we're just going to do a few more pointy leaves around the daffodil. And you can see as well that I'm always trying to give a little bit of shape and movement to the line, so I'm not making an exactly straight line. And now I'm just filling it, the petals in with water and sort of letting the pigment start to move into the center. And then I also add in here a bit of hematite actually for some shadows, because it granulates beautifully and it moves up into the color very slightly and pretty, makes it really pretty. And I also didn't realize that you couldn't see when I was doing this, but I mixed up the color I mixed up for the daffodil, the petals, was the lemon yellow with some kyanite in it, Daniel Smith. So you can use just a yellow and like an indigo, like a dark blue, and then you can add a little bit of brown for the shadows. But those are the colors that I used: French ochre, lemon yellow, kyanite, and hematite. Okay, so let's get back to this poor rose. So I am mixing up a shell pink and Sedona. So what I was saying before was the purpose of these videos is to kind of show you which colors I like to use and how I like to build them. So I started with shell pink, and then I added in touches of French ochre, and now I've mixed and I've let that all dry, and now I have mixed the shell pink with the Sedona, so like a burnt sienna, and I am starting to paint that now. At this stage it's not overworked, but then I just keep going, and this is what I'm always saying about be careful not to add too many dark. You just don't need that much dark. So at the very end of this video I'm just so unhappy with it, so I actually take some pastels and we re-lighten it, we work it backwards. So I wasn't sure whether or not to take this footage out, but I think it's maybe helpful for you to see. If I had have been taking a little bit more care and not added in so much colour all at once, I still would have used this colour palette, and I'll show you some examples at the end of where I have used this colour palette, but I just would have been more careful. And so what I'm using is shell pink, French ochre, Sedona, and opera rose. And speaking of opera rose, so it is in a light fast colour. So let's go back to the light fast discussion for a minute. So what light fast is how long your colours are going to last, especially if they're placed somewhere sunny. Fugitive colours can disappear quite quickly. Now, someone in the comments said that they've heard of opera rose vanishing in like a month. So I haven't heard of that before, so I'd love to hear your guys' experiences with this. Or I have heard of it disappearing even in someone's sketchbook, and I feel like that could be if they were using a heat gun, because that probably just enhanced the process. So I've heard from some artists they won't touch heat guns because sort of the volatile nature of watercolors. So, and then I guess there are several ways that you can protect your watercolors, and one of those ways is to get UV glass from the framer, so that you know, put it behind this UV glass. You can still see it, but it is it has that sun protection. And then obviously you can use colors that are more light fast. So if anyone has any recommendations for a good light fast option, you know, to fill in for Opera Rose, I'd love to hear that as well. But I'm actually thinking we might do I might just paint some flowers. We'll do like a video about it, and then I'll hang them in the window, and we might try a little bit of an experiment here through the rest of summer. So it's something I'd really like to know more about. I've seen artists from New York that sell watercolors and inks, and I'm sure that their colors aren't light fast, but they never mention it. I think they do mention some of them to put it behind a UV glass, but I don't know that they really mention whether or not it's light fast. And then I've seen people from YouTube that, you know, sell paintings they've made like from natural pigments. They're like thousands of dollars, and I feel like those pigments may not be light fast, so I'm not really sure. On the one hand, you know, art is the sort of value in art is that it can the value of it can grow over time, but at the same time, I mean, a lot of these artworks or paintings aren't very much money, and you know, you can get like a very expensive appliance that's only got a 2-year warranty, but I mean, in my opinion, like, you know, sometimes artists are expected to offer a 5-generation warranty. So I don't know, I think it's a difficult balance. For me, like, we're living in a digital age as well, so I'm not as worried about the artwork, you know, being light fast all the time, although it is something I'm considering. So, you know, it's kind of a difficult one, and I think that's why I'd like to do some testing. I really love the bright colours, and I wouldn't not paint with the bright colours. You know, something that makes me happy at the minute and makes, you know, you guys happy on YouTube. Like, you know, you're seeing this video, and even if the colour disappears, the video will still be there. So, and then I also think, depending on what it's mixed with, it could age really beautifully as well. So that's what I'd like to see. So I am definitely thinking that in the next week or so we'll do painting just several different flowers of different, just really quick sort of loose sketches, mixing some different colours and putting some different colours down and seeing how they age. Okay, so back to this poor flower. So one thing I'm just showing you here is the flower on the side, like I did a partial flower, and that's always a good way to just enhance the page in your sketchbook, or, you know, your painting. Just do partial flowers on the side, so you don't have to keep painting the flower in a lot of great detail. You can just kind of add parts, and then the suggestion of a whole nother rose, and the imagination, it puts that whole rose there. So anyway, I know this video has been a little bit of jumping around different subjects, but I just thought it was a good time to sort of cover a couple of things. And yeah, I'd love to hear your recommendations or your thoughts about Lightfastness or anything else we're talking about. So I think what we're doing now is I'm just going to show you a couple of my favourite mixes. And so I think we've got Pyrrole Orange here and Jaune Brilliant. So one of the things that I do sometimes is mix up mixes on my palette, and if I don't like the mix, I'm just not going to use it in the painting. And so some people do have paper handy, or like a sketchbook handy, where so what you can see here is I'm mixing up lemon yellow and opera rose, and it makes a really gorgeous soft pink, and it almost goes to like a peach. And the colours that I mix up here are pretty similar to Jaune Brilliant and Shell Pink. So I mix up Opera Rose and Organic Vermilion next, and yeah, it is a really beautiful one as well. But let's see, what were we talking about? Okay, so I keep getting sidetracked, but what I was saying is you can keep a piece of paper or a sketchbook handy, and then instead of sort of just removing the colour, you can put it onto these papers, and then you have them handy to either tear up or, you know, cut up for other projects as well. So another thing I'm just showing you here is this is a good way to just lay down some colour, lay down colours next to each other and see how they blend or how they you know, move on the paper. And this is actually an interesting one, because Nicolazo usually pushes the other colours out of the road, and Opera Rose is actually holding its own quite well here. So I'm just showing you here, I think I'm using Rhodonite and Nicolazo Yellow to try and create a peach, and you can see here that it's just not the same as the ones using Opera Rose. You just don't get that vibrancy. And then I will just show you here, so I didn't swatch anything from this palette. There's a whole video swatching this palette out with a few other pinks and peaches and shimmer colours in it. But I'm just sort of looking at the colours in my main sort of plein air palette and mixing those out and showing you how I use that. Like if that was my only palette I took with me, how would I use it? And so I'm really happy with the way these daffodils turned out as well. It's taken me a long time. Those are my favourite daffodils, the ones that are really pale yellow, and I've never known how to mix that colour. So okay, so I'm just zooming in and I am showing you those two gorgeous peach colours that we mixed up. And I actually didn't realise I was out of frame here I sort of try and hold them up next to the Shell Pink, but I think I will do that in another shot. But I also wanted to show you here, so I'm always talking about Sedona, you know, mixing it with the pinks. So last video I showed you the difference between the French ochre and a regular ochre and why I like the French one. And so I'm just showing you the difference here between the Sedona and the burnt sienna. So hopefully you'll be able to see here, the burnt sienna has more yellow undertones, and I feel like the Sedona has more pinky undertones. I'm not sure. It's a really beautiful colour. Hopefully you can see that there. And I'll also swatch the roasted French ochre for you as well. So this is a little bit of a darker colour and a cooler version of the burnt sienna. So I always like to use this with more autumn sort of colours, I would say, where the other one I use more just for pretty light soft colours. Or even like, so for the roasted French ochre, I like to use it with the deep violets or like amethyst and things like that. And for the Sedona, I like to use it with the pinks. So hopefully that helps clear it up a little bit. I will show you in a minute. I did swatch out the, I don't know where the footage went, but I did swatch out the, what am I saying? I mixed the burnt sienna with a little bit of Opera Rose and a little bit of Rhodonite, and so you can get it to be closer to the you know, a Sedona colour. If you have a burnt sienna, you can mix a little bit of pink in with it or a little bit of a red to get that sort of softer tone. And you can see there I'm holding it there and it's pretty close to that Shell Pink. And here on the right are the two that I mixed with this burnt sienna. Okay, so now that we have pretty much got through all of that, it's a few days later. It's actually just before I did the voiceover here, and I just wanted to do something about this rose. So we have overworked it. I've overworked it, so I want to go back and see if I can lighten that up. So I'm taking this little plate of pastels, and I have a video about where I got these and links and everything. And I'm just taking this pearl white pastel and I am adding some of that. At this point I feel like I might have overworked it the other way, so I probably could have left it at that, but I picked up the light pink pastel and I just kept going. So this poor rose is just struggling along. And then I get the green because I quite like to do sort of gold leaves with the roses, but I just felt like this was just all too similar colours. So I picked up the green and I just kind of added some of that in there, and I just liked the whole colour palette a lot better after that. So here I'm just showing you what the pastels look like without the light on, or with the, so like I'm using pearlescence a lot, and you need a daylight bulb to really fully appreciate them. So you can just pick those up at Home Depot and then you can put them in a lamp, or you can put them just in your roof over, you know, above your desk. And here I'm just grabbing a tiny little shard of this sort of neon pink pastel, which I dropped just after getting it, and I'm just using that to add a little bit of extra colour. Okay, so just before we go, I want to show you through some old flowers, some that worked, some that didn't. Here is a white rose that I tried pretty early on. I used Moonstone by Daniel Smith. And then here's another one. So I have been trying these over and over for quite a while, but I also wanted to show you my first try at a daffodil. So the only thing I really liked on this page was this poppy right here. I really liked the way that came out, and you can see this poor little daffodil. I really didn't have any idea what I was doing, and so hopefully you can see from this, don't give up. If you try one of these tutorials and it didn't come out that well, leave it alone for a week, a day, and a month, and just come back and try it again. Hopefully this isn't too light, but these are some sketches of the daffodils I tried after that fail to try and understand the form of it more. And then these, so the one down there on the right, these are the kind of roses I'd really like to someday be able to perfect. Like something from an old worn tapestry or something. So here is another try, and I was using, I think, more light fast colours for this, and I was watering down the mixture, and again they're like, what is that? Like, that was a terrible fail. And so, that's just what you go through. I think this was my first watercolor floral. I mean, I don't even know what that was, but I also found this color chart that I thought we could do, but all I'm trying to say here is just keep going. Artists go through a lot of drafts before they reach something final. Here are some other really loose ones that I did, and I really actually enjoyed that. That was with a different brush, which gives you a whole different look. So and then while I was flipping through this book, I found these. So I have a couple of tutorials. I don't know if I'll be able to do any more videos till next week, but I'm going to link a couple of these videos. I think you'll really like them. This shoe one was one of my favorites, and also painting the makeup. Here was one of the first times I was really happy with the way a rose turned out. So anyway, I just also wanted to say thank you for your responses from yesterday's video. I think that sometimes, like for you guys it's a 20-minute video. For me it could be 4 hours worth of work, since I might have 40 minutes to an hour worth of video to edit, and then I have to, you know, edit that, so that'll take at least that long. So for a 20-minute video, and then I've got to voice over it and upload it and all that, so it could be 4 hours of work and per video. And so by the end of it I'm just tired, I think, and I start to overthink things. Some videos, like the one where we layered the pink flowers, that was 4 hours worth of just artwork, and it was an hour and a half worth of footage to get through and speed up and things like that. So, and then at the end of that, you know, I know there's flaws in the video, there's flaws with the sound production, so I'm just not sure at that point, like, is it worth it, was it worth it? But I really appreciate your guys' response, and I will keep trying to put videos out there for you. And again, I want to say thank you so much for your beautiful comments. They're some of the nicest comments I've ever seen, and I appreciate them so much. After all the hard work, it really is what gets me motivated to do another video. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. I will link some more videos for you for the weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.